Hey guys, it's Carl. So it's been around 1 month since the MacBook Pro with the M2 chips have come out. This is my new flagship, my little baby that I've been using for the past 30 days. This is the best laptop that money can buy right now. So this is the M2 Max with pretty much the highest spec RAM that you can get. So this one has 96 gigs of RAM, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's got 4 terabytes. It's got a 38 core GPU. I cannot touch the power of this. Like, I can't even scratch the surface of how powerful this machine is. Previously coming from my M1 Max MacBook Pro, which I technically didn't need to upgrade, I'm lucky enough to be able to kind of share my experience, why I think you should get this device, obviously if you can afford it. So starting off with the price point first, my recommended spec, do not go anywhere near this. You do not need this machine. This is pretty much a Mac Studio in the form factor of a MacBook Pro. I'd personally recommend the base M2 Pro, and for the size options, you can either get it, of course, 14 or 16 inches. I leave that up to you to decide. Obviously, I do prefer a larger display. It's the device that, I kind of carry around everywhere. I don't have the luxury to hook it up to an external display all the time. It also has a larger battery, and that's one of the best things of the new M2 laptops, or the new M2 Pro, M2 Max laptops. 22 hours of video playback. This thing just turns on the entire day. I can run Final Cut Pro, edit an entire video without plugging it into a power source, which is nuts. So like I said, my preferred size option, 16 inches with the M2 base, and with that you get the 19 core GPU, 12 core CPU. For RAM, I really go back and forth. It does come with 16 gigs, but if you're holding on to the machine for 3 to 4 years, that's the typical refresh cycle, up it to 32 gigs. And I know it costs $400 extra or 450 Canadian. It's expensive, but that RAM is soldered on. It's the only time you can upgrade it. Make that option now if you want to increase the longevity. And for storage, 512 is base. I think you can get by. You can always up it if you've got that extra money, but you can always work off an external hard drive if that's your jam. And that's my recommended spec. So in terms of the overall performance, like I said, this is the best laptop money can buy. This thing churns through anything that you throw at it. It can even handle 10 8K streams if I ever choose to upgrade. I know that my Sony can record in 8K now, so I have that option to push this machine to that level. Once again, I haven't even heard the fans ramp up on this. That's how strong this machine is. And I mentioned, because I was coming from my M1 Max device, you'll actually notice they are pretty much the exact same design. They have the exact same form factor. So in terms of, I guess, overall aesthetics, if you already have an M1 Max or M1 Pro MacBook Pro, bit of a tongue twister, they are identical. We've got the same chunkiness, same ports. I will even say that the SD card slot on the new M2 works a little bit better, because I was having issues with my M1 Max SD card slot. I usually had to use a dongle. It wouldn't register when I put a card in. It is better on the M2, and I don't know if that's the device. I don't know if Apple made a little change in the hardware, but to me, it works better. For the rest of the I/O, you also have HDMI 2.1 and 2 USB-C ports on the other side, headphone jack, and the good old MagSafe charger. So I typically still charge my device via USB-C, but you can also use the MagSafe charger, which is now color matched. Sometimes I'm a baller and use my navy one or midnight one from my MacBook Air just to change things up, but you have those options for I/O. If this is the first time that you're coming to a MacBook device, industry-leading internals and hardware on the inside as well. So the trackpad, it is the best that you can get on a laptop. It's nice and large, it's nice and clicky. There's absolutely no give, no weird bending or creaking, which you sometimes still sadly see in gaming PCs that cost similar amounts of money. It's made of one piece of aluminum. It's beautifully finished. You obviously pay the Apple tax for that, but it is a very premium device. And I will say the speakers, still the same as the previous gen. They are one of the best sounding speakers on a laptop. It also has the 3 mic array, which you can use for audio recording. Front-facing cam is 1080p, but I know there's also the option to clip your iPhone with a little magnetic clamp, which you can just buy separately and use continuity cam. Use those rear-facing cameras on your iPhone for things like streaming, for your video calls, for things that just require better quality. I haven't honestly done that yet. I still get by perfectly fine on mine. But for the rest of the device, the hardware, very similar to what we've seen. So I think if you already own the M1, say Pro, M1 Max, you can skip on this upgrade. If we actually take a look at Apple's performance charts, technically the M1 Max is still better than the M2 Pro. So for my upgrade, I know that I initially unboxed and took a look at the M2 Pro, and this was the true upgrade for me because the M2 Max from the M1 Max. And still, Apple does no longer sell the M1 line or the M1 Pro line or M1 Max line anymore. You can get them refurbished, which is always a steal, so make sure you check your local site, or you can grab it from places like Best Buy for a bit of a discount, which would also be a solid pickup. And I kind of want to chat about how I use my M2. I know a lot of you ask what my productivity day-to-day looks like, and I'm just going to do a bit of a screen recording here. I'll kind of chat through the most common apps that I use, so you can actually see on my little dock here, a lot of them are on the bottom right, and I am a sucker for Apple stock apps just because they update across all my devices, like my iPhone, like my iPad. So things as simple as reminders or notes. I use those to jot down video ideas, but I have been using Notion. They've actually come out with a new subset, Notion AI. So if you haven't checked out Notion yet, they're an all-in-one notes, docs, tasks, workspace area, which you can really tailor to suit what you really need it for. So for example, I'm on my Notion site right now. You can see that the different areas on the left-hand side of what I've created for my, I guess, like taskbars. So for example, the first one, social media, obviously I've got the little orange emoji here. This is where I keep track of all of my content. I can see the current status. I can see when the due date is, when I'm working with a brand, for example, like Notion. You can actually see it right here. It's on my to-do list. That's why we're recording this video right now. You can see my short form, so that's Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and I can even assign different people like myself or Nick, who's on the B cam right now, to work on them. So that's one idea. The next one, over on to home renovations. I think you guys know that we're currently building a house right now, and this is just my idea board, and I actually share this with my architect and designer just for ideas for when we're building out the different rooms, the types of finishes that I'm looking for. And going on to something that is even more pressing, so I've got my wedding budget. If you guys don't know, I'm getting married this August. This is something that I'm keeping track of on Notion, and you can see all of the different price points and everything that I'm trying to stay within budget. But I wanted to kind of show off Notion AI. So one of my to-do things is to create my wedding invite for all my guests. So I'm gonna quickly type this out right now. So I'm actually terrible at this, but I will try to bang something out quickly. So we would like to formally invite you to our wedding on August 12th, 2023 in Baxter, Ontario, which is west of Barrie. Is that what wedding invites? I don't know why Kat made me in charge of this, but I want to kind of show off Notion AI here. So I can actually just highlight this little purple bar right here. I can just click Ask AI, and I can actually change the tone of this or even make it longer. So I'm just going to click that. AI is writing. Look how good this sounds. This is so much better than what I created. So I had around 3 lines. So dearest friends and family, we are delighted to formally extend an invitation to join us for our wedding in the beautiful countryside of Baxter, Ontario. Why couldn't I think of that? We hope to see you there in this new chapter of our lives. With love and gratitude, your names, Carl and Katja. So that was done way quicker than anything that I could ever create. And a cool little thing with Notion AI, so I'm inviting some of my friends, mostly family from Holland. I can actually change the language of this. If I go to translate, so I'm gonna switch this to Dutch. I used to think that I was fluent in Dutch. I definitely would not have been able to come up with this. So, I mean, this sounds great. So I can just once again copy and paste this, send those to my Dutch relatives. I know that Kat's inviting some people from Argentina, for example, as she's Argentine. I can quickly switch this language to Spanish. AI makes this so much simpler. And I know that there's a ton of different options within Notion AI. So kind of going back to this page, you can kind of see the different things that AI can do. So for example, if I were to create a social media post or say a press release on the MacBook Pro 16-inch M2, the one that we just reviewed as an example, I'll just hit enter, AI is writing. And you can see just from that simple text input, so introducing the new MacBook Pro, M2 Max, perfect tool for creators, I didn't even write that, and it's creating this little press release here that I can just send, say, straight to Twitter. I can put this on my blog post. This is so impressive. Another great example, so say, for example, I'm just gonna discard this. Another great example of AI, I've actually just pasted this full review of the same MacBook Pro, and instead of trying to read all 10 paragraphs here, I'm just going to click summarize. And instead of spending 15 minutes reading everything, I can just get this quick little synopsis in 4 lines, and you can see here how much simpler that is to read. So super powerful, and yeah, AI is super dope. So definitely, if you're looking for an app that's super versatile, once again, Notion really tailors its experience to what you use it for. And now that it has this new AI feature, I think it just has become more powerful. So that's Notion. Kind of switching on over, I think the apps that you're familiar with, Final Cut Pro, once again, this video is edited here. I wanted to kind of show off Motion VFX, so it's a simple plug and play service. You can download things like transitions, callouts, LUTs, all within the Motion VFX website. And once again, since it is plug and play, I can just drag and drop my selected options. So for example, I can drag this little text callout. I think you've seen it on a ton of my stuff. And from there, I can just change what the text says to the corresponding video. So for example, for this MacBook video, I can call out the different ports, the different IO, the screen resolution, the screen size. Very handy and simple to use. And for the rest of the apps, obviously Photoshop. I'm a big Microsoft Outlook guy. I think that's my guilty tech pleasure. That's my email client of choice, and that's pretty much the main stuff that I use on my MacBook. And so overall, like I said in the beginning, the best thing that I find for this laptop is probably that battery life. That's the biggest noticeable upgrade from the previous gen. So around over 20 hours, I've been on some really long flights with this. I haven't even brought out my charger for it. I will sadly say I'm getting to that point where I can't fully utilize an M2 Max laptop, even the M2 MacBook Air. I'd say that computer, other than the screen size, can still take care of 98% of the things that I use it for, and I think I am a very heavy pro user. Maybe the video rendering times, that's where this really shines. I can pump out a 4K video 8 to 10 minutes long. I can get that rendered in maybe around 30 seconds, whereas on the M2 MacBook Air, that would take a couple minutes. So maybe things like that, I would notice a difference, but in terms of overall workflow, I'm still not scratching the surface of this. So it's something nice to have. It's definitely a luxury for me, but I really see these devices suited for true pro users. So say you're working at studio, you're working for Pixar, you're doing some really heavy 8K, 4K streams where time is money. This device is honestly perfect for you. You can use it on the go. I'm sure your studio will be paying for it as well, so that definitely helps. But yeah, that's kind of my review of the M2 Max MacBook Pro, the best laptop money can buy. And maybe my only regret, even though this is a super minor, I know I grabbed this one in space gray. I do like my silver MacBook Pro, the previous M1 Max, just because it matches with my Pro Display XDR. I didn't even mention you can hook these up to external monitors. Obviously, Pro Display XDR is overkill. You've got the Mac Studio, anything with a USB-C port to give you that extra real estate. But I think if you are grabbing the one with 16 inches, you can get by fully fine. I haven't even touched on the display. It's the same as before. It's got ProMotion, 1600 nits of peak brightness. It's one of the better displays you can get on a laptop. That's pretty much it. That's all. If you guys have any other questions, I hope you guys enjoyed my workflow. If you have any other suggestions, any other apps that you think I should check out, hit me up down below in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and good luck paying for your, I think this exact spec is close to $7,500 for a laptop, which is next level. Peace.